Hello everybody, welcome to G4G here on YouTube. Today we're in Heroes of the Storm, and I could say welcome back to HOTS. It's been a while since I've done a HOTS video. I kind of haven't been covering too much going on in HOTS lately, but we have Wintervale and Hanzo on the same day, so I kind of thought it was time to do another HOTS video and definitely take a look at what we've got going on over here. I just played 2 Warcraft heroes, and I did Lunara. Lunara was 20, going on a very, very close 21, so we're stuck with her. And I had a bad match. Well, I shouldn't say a bad match. I had a match where we lost handily, but I had the best stats on the server, even though we lost. And then this last one, I didn't die. We won handily, and I was thoroughly trounced in terms of siege damage and hero damage by a Valla on my team. But I didn't die. So I got a card for best killing spree of 16 heroes. So I got a Wintervale chest because I went ahead and completed my World of Warcraft daily and re-rolled it once. So I pulled Sketchtorin, Shock, ETC, Junkrat pack, which I didn't even know I had, and Sugarplum Sylvanas pack number 2. So, what do we got going on for Wintervale? Well, we have Hanzo coming out, but we'll come back to him. We'll deal with the winter stuff first, and then we'll come back to Hanzo. The Wintervale Classic Bundle is up, so this is what we had last year. And this is Jaina, Sylvanas, Lunara, and Nazebo. As a reminder, when you buy items that cost crystals, if you could get some of the pack by spending gold, you reduce the crystal cost. So, if, say, you wanted to get this pack and you lacked Jaina, you would want to buy Jaina with your gold first, which then reduces the cost over here. And, of course, if you are not somebody who hoards chests but opens them as soon as possible, open chests first, because if you pull a skin, say you pulled Sweet Sugarplum Sylvanas, that would, again, be less crystals you have to spend. So always try to spend gold first, crystals second. So Jaina, Sylvanas, Lunara, Nazebo. We have Sugarplum, Sweet Plum, Sylvanas. Wintervale Jaina, which I have her Wintervale skins from way back. This is actually the Jaina that I use. The blue version of this. I kind of think her boobs really defy human nature and gravity there. There's like such a huge hang to them, and it like just clips so much under them. It's like fake stripper boobs to a certain degree. We have Starry Winter, Lunara. I don't remember if this one was available last year, this color. This skin was, because I definitely remember the Christmas tree spear. And Moldy Gingerbread Nazebo. Again, another one I remember the skin. I don't remember the color. Special Snowflake. And the Horde Reindeer. This pack is kind of worth it for at least the Horde Reindeer, which certainly goes well for Great Father. Well, Rhaegar uses Ghost Wolf, but it looks like it goes very well with Great Father Rhaegar. Now, I actually do believe this is last year's pack, and this is now the 3rd winter that we've had this in the game, because the very, very first winter had Rhaegar as like a Santa. I think that might have been when Gingerbread Nazebo came out. I don't remember. Kind of gets blurry when you think back on about 3 years worth of HOTS, but I do believe this is the 3rd winter scene that we've had here. And wow. So then we have this year's bundle, the 2017 bundle, which gives us Malf and Valla. Again, if you don't own them, buy them with gold, but then you get a huge pack. Unfortunately, it's very expensive, and if you want to talk about real-life conversion, for me, it's going to be about 35 bucks to get this whole pack. Not worth it. Not going for it for 35. There's only 2 base, and then there's so many skins, and that's what jacks up the price of it. But we have a bunch of Vallas and a bunch of Malfurion. So we've got Ivy Winter, Plum, which I don't like too much, Cole, which I like a lot. I really like the contrast with the red and the black, Icewind, Winter Helper, which kind of makes her look like a mall Santa elf. And then we have Cole, Great Father, Winter Malfurion, which looks pretty cool. Again, very nice contrast with the reds and the dark grays. Naughty Great Father, which kind of makes him look like a Krampus. I mean, he looks Santa-ish, but he's kind of pissed off, and if you look close at the beard, you can see a little green seeping in there, as if he's just not kept up with himself. And he's very, very natural and rustic with the ivy wreath and the staff. And then we have regular Great Father, who's a little bit brighter and looks considerably more polished. If I saw this, I wouldn't think that it's necessarily a naughty representation of Santa Claus. It just seems very kind of German, old-fashioned, more of like a pagan Santa. And then we have Rosie, and we have Icy. Then for the mounts, we get a regular frosted gingerbread cookie, or gingerboard, a strawberry, a blueberry. So we're getting Pop-Tarts, really. Straight up gingerboard. You would think this one would kind of be the base, because this looks pretty classic, but this one's actually the base. And then there's the moldy one, which is, yeah, it's pretty downright awful. So Lunara was the previous years, Jaina was the previous years. I'm not seeing a Rhaegar, and I think Stitches has had some classic Christmas skins too. Yeah, he was one of the first years, was the Stitches stuff. Now, it's a shame that Valla gets it over other heroes, because I mean, my Valla is going on 40, almost one of my highest characters, but I mean, Valla has so many skins. She has her default, she has her angelic, she has these Order Master ones, she has the Vengeance ones, she has the Sheriff ones, and now she has Christmas ones, and she gets 5 Christmas ones. I mean, it's almost a shame, because when you have so many cool skins on a character, it's like, oh my god, what do I decide? And you only have 3 slots. So I have a blue, an angelic, and a gold. I also conceivably could run the red, and if I had more, I wouldn't necessarily run Sheriff Valla, because I feel there's so many Sheriff Vallas, especially in Pro Hots. I wouldn't mind getting, you know, that Order Master, even some of the other angelics. I'm definitely happy to get off a stock Valla. I feel she's definitely playing, and I feel like this is like a level 15 Diablo character, and this is like a legendary. But, Jaina, there's her Winter Veil. So I had, like the first Winter Veil, I had all of the Jainas, and I pretty much use Mrs. Claus over here universally. But again, I have some pretty cool skins for her too, and I've picked up some of the Theramore ones from loot boxes recently, and these are Warcraft armors over here. I believe this is the set from TBC, if I remember correctly. I think that's where that set came from. And then you have the Dreadlord ones, and then you have Tempest Regalia, which is another World of Warcraft set. So yeah, Jaina is definitely another one that's stock full, or chock full of skins. So Hanzo, again, a way to reduce the gem cost is buy him with gold. And then, as a matter of fact, I will show you what that's like to do. So I'm going to buy him with gold over here, just because I would want him as a hero. However, kind of because I don't know that I would want to play him that much, I'm not going in on the skins. And look at that. I mean, I took about 600 crystals off just by owning the hero. And, you know, now that brings it into pretty decent crystal range. But you get Hanzo, And these are Far Strider Blood Elves from World of Warcraft. So you have the Holy One with kind of the nice Phoenix-looking flame tat on the side. Icebound. Kind of looks more like a vulture. I mean, it looks like a mythical creature. It doesn't look like too many birds we know of on Earth. Iron, where again, kind of looks like a phoenix again. You lose some detail in the beak, but I like the colors a lot. Scarlet, which is just really weird, but really cool definition in the tattoo. That's probably my favorite looking at the tattoo so far. And then just regular Forest Rider, which looks exactly like a World of Warcraft Blood Elf, and there are other people in the game with skins similar. I mean, he bears a resemblance to Kalthus here. But yeah, that's amazing definition in that tattoo. The Icebound one's pretty clear. A lot of the Flame ones just kind of fade out. That's cool, but I don't like the rest of it. So, let's take a look at his abilities. I have run into a lot of Hanzos tonight. I had a Warcraft daily, so I was not inclined to get him and play him. Plus, having played him enough in Overwatch, I don't necessarily know that I would like him. Hanzo gets kind of shit on in WoW a little bit for just being obnoxious and not always very good. So, his base ones are Hanzo, Dragon Hanzo, and Sora Hanzo. I would say I would probably go Dragon. There's Demon Hanzo, which looks really cool. I would go that if I had it. Kanoko Hanzo. And then we begin the Far Striders. I'd probably go Demon, honestly. That one and that one just look too much right out of Overwatch. So let's take a look at his abilities and talents. I'm not going to have any gameplay on this one. I want this to be a little bit shorter and more focused on Wintervale, and we'll come back to some other winter characters there. Stormbow is his Q. Activate to charge an arrow that deals 297 damage to the first enemy hit. Stormbow's range is increased the longer it is channeled. So that's typical to playing Overwatch and holding your mouse button down until you get the full charge. 4 seconds, so it's up fairly frequently. I certainly did go in on a Hanzo with my Lunara, expecting to kill him, and I got clipped with a Stormbow in the beginning of the fight, and then he ended the fight with a Stormbow, and we both died at the same time. Scatter Arrow is why people fucking hate Hanzos in Overwatch. As much as McCree's Flashbang, or as I like to call it, Crutch Bang, are really obnoxious, Scatter Arrow is, of course, super obnoxious. And one of the reasons why people hate Hanzo in Overwatch is because he doesn't have to stay in range to fire the shot. He could charge it up behind a wall, poke out, fire it, and then dip back again. And it's one of the reasons why he's disliked so much. And plus, bad Hanzos tend to be super bad. Sonic Arrow is again related to his Overwatch skills. So Scatter and Sonic are straight out of Overwatch. Sonic, he basically shoots an arrow into the ground that makes a dome, and the dome grants vision in that area for 8 seconds, and enemies are revealed. If it lands directly on an enemy, it deals damage and then follows them. So, you have some choices when you're going in against stealthers. You could either zone a stealther out by placing an arrow in a certain spot, and if the stealther sees it in time, they might come around another way, or if there's only one way, they're screwed. The other thing is that you could potentially wait for the stealther to pop, shoot him with the sonic arrow, and know that if they're going to retreat, they're not going to cloak. The problem is, I think Valera still has some abilities to get out of sonic arrow. I mean, she could go the debuff dropping ultimate, which would probably do it, and when she first vanishes, I believe Sonic Arrow would not be able to track her at that time. Now, I don't know if it would stick to her long enough that when the vanish is over, would it reveal her? That certainly would be some testing. And much like his brother Genji in the Shimada clan, natural agility allows him to jump over terrain or structures up to a maximum range. So, you know, lane bushes and everything like Dragon Shrine or the Garden of Terror would be really, really good maps for him. Now, if we look at Genji and we look at his abilities, he has cyber agility, but he's a little bit more mobile, and he is on a 10-second cooldown. So if you're playing Hanzo and you're thinking, oh, I'm going to do it like Genji, you're not going to be up nearly as frequently. Plus, you also lack the other jump. So Dragon Strike is his first ultimate and is the one that is ripped out of Overwatch. He gets the twining dragons that go straight out, very wide path. It's pretty much the path of a standard lane. I mean, smaller than a Rag Flame Wave, but still pretty wide, dealing a lot of damage. Enemies in the center area, which I believe is that where he starts the shot from, take more damage. And then you have Dragon's Arrow. It's kind of like a Tyrande shot, fire missile that travels across the battleground, explodes when it hits an enemy hero, dealing damage to all nearby enemies and stunning them for only half a second. After traveling a medium distance, it goes up, and a super long distance, it really goes up and has a 2-second duration. I would say any of the maps where Tyrande is good, like Hearse of the Ravenlord, this would be a super good ultimate. You have Kel'Thuzad, if he goes the Frostfisher talent, which can be talented into being rapid fire at 20. So that's Shadowfisher here, and then at 20, if it hits a hero, it resets. Really good synergy with that. Really good synergy with Tyrande. And it's kind of interesting to think that you now have 3 heroes that have global abilities. And then, of course, if you have Abathur with global nests, you could consider that 4. Illidan with a hunt, 5. ETC has got one. Not really Dahak. I mean, he has the ability to get there, but I'm talking about abilities that take you directly to a fight and are disruptive. So, I mean, you could almost make a meta out of that at this point in time. Just heroes that can globally reach across the map and do pretty ugly things. So, I mean, the combination between you and Kel'Thuzad right here, these two would honestly be ridiculous. Because either one of them, especially, like, if Tyrande leads with a scout and reveals a bunch of people, and then Kel'Thuzad immediately follows up with a Fisher, which has a bit of a minor stun to it. Well, not a minor stun, it just has decent damage, and then at 20, you know, it resets and you can spam it. I mean, the combos are kind of nasty. Tyrande scouts, he does a Shadowfisher. If he hits, Hanzo comes up from the back end of this with a long-range one, stuns him for 2 seconds, and then he hits him again, and then it's going to be cooldown, so if he plans out their retreat path, he probably can get a 3rd shot off. So, Tyrande, Hanzo, and Kel'Thuzad could potentially be really, really ridiculous. You know, and if you add an ETC in there with a stage dive, that's super good. And if you do Morales' Medivac, again, that's not disruptive, but potentially you can unload all of this stuff right before getting in a Medivac. Everybody gets in the Medivac. She drops you off right where the remnants of the enemy team were, and then you just polish off what you haven't killed literally remotely. I mean, it's like dropping napalms from a drone at that point in time. So, yeah. Stage dive coming in. I mean, and then there's other semi-short range ones like Sonya's Leap and Talented into a Crater eventually. You know, Dahaka can brush Stalker and be somewhat near the fight after that. It's just, it'll be interesting to see if this winds up being a meta, or Abathur on the team dropping the really slow, really damaging mines and then making them global, and having his nest maybe reveal somebody, and then the moment they're revealed, Tyrande goes in, Hanzo goes in, Kel'Thuzad goes in, and maybe even an EDC. Interesting. Target practice. Now looking at the talents. Hit every enemy hero with Stormbow. Seems doable. Except an Abathur. I wouldn't pick that if there was an Abathur on the map, honestly. That could really screw you up. After hitting every enemy hero with Stormbow, the range is increased by 30%. After hitting every enemy hero 3 times, its damage is jacked up. I kind of like this one. I think this one is doable, especially at the first tier. And having an increased range could be nice. Simple geometry, it's a quote from Overwatch, from both him and Moira. Hit an hero with multiple arrows from the same scatter arrow 20 times. Each arrow hit after the second grants additional progress. Okay. Upon hitting terrain for the first time, scatter arrow creates 2 additional arrows, so I think you would be getting 6. I like this one depending upon the map. If you have certain cluster points, like the Big Terror and Garden of Terror, maybe around Nukes and Braxis, control points in Volskaya have a lot of bounceable things. I think this one's going to be very map specific, but believe it or not, it's actually sometimes a little bit more easy to avoid simple geometry than you think. A Hanzo in the match where I lost kind of badly, he kept trying to scatter arrow me on my Lunara, and I was always a step ahead there. I just had really good prediction on it. Redemption. Every 2 basic attacks against the same hero within 10 seconds grants 1 redemption, stacking up to 12. Dying decreases redemption by 3, and redemption can be lost even at maximum stacks. At 12 redemption, gain 50% attack speed. So, very Valla-esque. If you know what you're doing on Valla, you would probably enjoy this quest. It's like hitting the basic heroes. I would say this one would be good if you had a tank that you could reliably sit behind and peel if somebody dives you, which Hanzo really is kind of screwed in that regard. So, to me, target practice seems default, geometry seems map, and redemption seems back of the pack. Explosive arrows. Upon hitting a minion or a monster, Stormbow deals 100% of its damage to enemies around the target. Okay, let's try to be Sylvanas there. Scatter arrow deals 150... Alright, so is this going to be a Merc tier? Basic attacks. Instantly kill minions and increase Hanzo's basic attack range by 2 for 3 seconds. Oh! That seems ridiculous wave clear. Basic attacks instantly kill minions and increase... Wow! That's kind of overpowered for an assassin. That seems very specialist-y there. I think the attack range boost is very good, especially like, say you're doing the John Cena Punishers, and you step out from Punisher stuff and just kill things in the lane, and the moment you get that buff, you go back into fighting people around the John Cena skeletons. I like that one. That one could definitely be a default. I mean, explosive arrows is potentially very good in a very long lane one, but ignore all distractions might be good if you could pop out of common fight areas and then pop back in with a buff. Shieldbreaker arrow deals bonus damage to shields on heroic targets, meaning players. The Dragon Hungers. Hitting a hero with Stormbow grants 5% spell power. And never outmatch. Reduce scatter arrows mana cost from 40 to 20. Basic attacks lower the cooldown. I think if you're going into a scatter build, this is the way to go. I think obviously if you have shieldy people, your Medivhs and Tassadar, Shieldbreaker is the way to go. The default just seems Dragon Hungers for more DPS. Situational, potentially default, and if you're going scatter shit arrow. Pick which one you want here. I don't really have a judgment on this one yet. I've pretty much have only seen Dragon Strike. I don't think I've seen a Dragon's Arrow yet, but we've discussed what that works with. Alright, I'm seeing D.Va right down here. Imagine him long ways across the map, firing a Dragon's Arrow that stuns people, and then D.Va throws the mech in for a blow-up, or Zaraya gets her ultimate where she grabs people in. Could have some fun combos. I wouldn't overlook Dragon's Arrow, honestly. Fleet of Foot, hitting an enemy, hitting a hero with Stormbow grants movement speed for 6 seconds, so he gets a little Genji-ish on this one. Ninja Assassin, Stormbow, lowers natural agility cooldown. That seems pretty nice, considering it's got a long cooldown. Mounted Archery. Upon mounting, gain 30 additional movement speed for 5 seconds. Using natural agility, instantly mounts. Weird. Very, very, very weird talent. But certainly a get the fuck out of dodge talent on that one. Using natural agility, instantly mounts. Yeah, that's really good for poke. If you're getting dove a lot, or you don't have a really good frontline or tank, or you just want more escape, I think mounted archery is going to be the way to go as a default. I mean, that just seems to kind of beat the shit out of anything over there, other than maybe Ninja Assassin. But mounted archery seems pretty strong for getting out of town. Flawless technique, hitting enemy heroes with Stormbow increases the damage of Hanzo's next basic within 5 by 25%. Basic attacks against heroes increase the damage of Hanzo's. So it's a loop. Stormbow buffs AA buffs Stormbow. I think that would be pretty good with his redemption over here. Super attack speed. Super cycling on flawless technique. I think those two are going to go together. Stormbow, Scatter Arrow, Pierce, hitting an additional enemy. Additionally, Scatter Arrow can pierce through one enemy each time ricochets. Pretty good, potentially, as a default, even if you did no other scatter talents. Giant Slayer, okay, good if you got a lot of beefy tanks and thralls and butchers and everything. I would say flawless technique if you went redemption. If not, probably piercing arrows as a default. Hitting a hero with Stormbow, Scatter Arrow, basic attacks reduces the cooldown Dragon Strike. That seems very good for that. While in flight, or for up to 2 seconds after impacting a target, Dragon's Arrow can be reactivated to teleport to its location and jump backwards. If used after the impact, Hanzo shoots arrows that deal an unstoppable... Oh, wow. That... You want to talk about mop-up. There's going to be some Overwatch moments. I'm calling it now. Play the Game is going to be appearing in some Overwatch moments where he stuns a bunch of people that are in a fight. His team's around them. They're blowing him up. And then he shows up right after play of the game and he... Wow. Potentially vicious. This is a high skill cap here. Scatter Arrow limits the maximum armor for heroes hit to 0. Increase Sonic Arrow's speed and center radius. Additionally, heroes hit by Sonic are stunned. Fun if you got stealthers, but my god, these two seem so powerful. I think Blizzard does, well, like, whatever, here's some 2 fillers, but maybe Dragon Awakens, you could potentially be doing a bullseye in there if you're facing a lot of stealthers, but I don't see if you go Dragon's Arrow, how do you not go play the game? Just seems too much. So, alright, taking one last look at some other Christmassy stuff around. So we had Stitches. I have some of his Christmas stuff from way back when. And I lack a new one in Ivory. That's what we got going for Stitches. If I sort by support sort, I should have there's Rhaegar. And there were his old Winter Veil ones, the Great Father one. Really looks good when he goes Ghost Wolf. And I forget what... That was the skin I was using. And I have his, and I have his Masters, and I have some of the Irons. So, Crimson Storm, this is an old Master, and then we have his Iron Claws. That looks very Mogu from Mop. Riptide looks pretty cool, too. I wonder if there are any other Winter Veil ones listed here, maybe down a little further. So, Green Eagle Eye Tyrandi's up there. The Boar still around, I've got that. Harvest Harlequin, Johanna, Infested Tychus, Angelic Vala. Yeah, they don't have... Kind of disappointed I'm not seeing any reference to any of the other past ones. I mean, yeah, you could go through your collection and see the snowflakes. Unfortunately, that's tedious, but I think that's about it, other than some of Sylvanas' old Sugar Plums. I really like that Blood Raven. I'm happy I've got that. I used to use this one the most. Kind of love the spikes and how just angular and pointy this all looks. It looks like it just hurts to touch that. But I've been using Blood Raven. And then if we come down, we have Sugar Plum, which is expensive. Sweet Sugar Plum, which is the new one, which is why it's so expensive. Sour Plum and Snow Plum, those are the old ones. And I believe these are colors of her master. Yeah, that's her master skins, her old masters over there. And again, if you have a lot of shards and you want to reduce packs, use your shards to craft something. Like, if I were to get the modern pack right here, I could use 2,400 shards, craft Sweet Plum, and then reduce the gem cost of that pack. So aside from gold, you know, you could use shards to reduce your stuff. I think that's all I remember for Christmassy stuff. I don't recall anybody else in the past having that much Christmas stuff going on. Lunara's Christmas tree spear is definitely one of the things that sticks out for me, but I think that's about it. If you haven't gotten the chance to play Alexstrasza yet, she is fun, especially if you could do the Flame Buffet build, the DPS build. She brings the thickness over there. That girl is... she thick. I pulled this one, the Death Aspect, out of a box at one point, and that comes from the ones down here. My guess is that these over here would have been what was her master, and Death Aspect is just another store skin similar to the Queen ones. I go back and forth between whether I play as either Black Dragon or Molten Queen, which makes her look like a volcanic stripper. Alright, there we go, guys. There is the release of Hanzo. There is Winter Veil. And if I get around to playing Hanzo and I like him, I'll probably do a video on there and see how those talents work out. Peace out, everybody.